All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we are back with a team report straight out of the Milwaukee Regionals. We've got Nicholas Borgi, who managed to get top 32 or 22nd place, as you see on your screen. Nick, how are you doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I got in at 1 a.m., got up for work at 6 a.m., and I've been working ever since 7, and I get to come home and hang out with one of my favorite people.
Well, you know what? I don't know why I fit into this, but I, but I guess I appreciate it. Anyways, hopefully you've been doing well. For the people watching that may not know you, fill us in. How long you been playing Mons for? What's the story here?
So, my friend Dan took me to the 2012 Philadelphia Regionals when we were in 7th grade, and I had so much fun that I just kept going. Even when Dan didn't go, I had so much fun. My first regional, I just kept going. And my second ever regional was uh was Virginia 2013, just a couple months later. And that's actually where I met one of our best friends who I finally got to meet again this weekend, Lyndon or Crystal Ninetails.
Yep.
It's also where I met Paul and Ian, who are still two of my really close friends to this day. Um, so I've been playing ever since then as a senior, and now I am an adult who's about to go on their own health insurance.
Crazy how time flies, eh?
It's absolutely insane to me. I still don't process it.
Yeah. But once again, congratulations on your incredible run this weekend. I think it's about time, though. I think we give the people what they want, and that's the
Yeah.
team. You know that
Yeah.
is the team. You guys can see it quickly on your screen. It is that Miraidon Calyrex Ice combo that I think was one of those things that everybody was trying to crack going into this regional. I think everybody was like, yeah, this in theory should be good, but no one had really come out and been like, this is the team that's going to win this regional, or this is the team that's, going to pop off at this regional. So very curious on your thoughts on that matchup. I'm just going to switch layouts real quick over to the paste, and we can break that down. All right, Nick, now that we're on the paste screen here, break it down for us. What's the thought process behind a team? Start with like some general concepts, kind of why you have pieces, and then afterwards we can kind of go into individual spreads and such.
Okay, so from day one, and I said it on your YouTube channel,
Oh,
I thought Miraidon was the best Pokemon in the format. I said that in our day one restricted breakdown. And I knew I want to use the best Pokemon in the format. Pivoting is super strong, and so just it's an obscene damage piece that I had never actually gotten to use until recently when I started using the Arubega team at the end of Reg G.
mm-hmm.
Um, and so Miraidon I knew was on the team no matter what
Yeah,
happened. And I figured, oh, what if I pair it with like the second best Pokemon in the format at the time, Cali Shadow. And so I did a lot of stuff with that, and I added Fire Pond and I added Urshi Water to that other team, and I liked those two pieces, and I liked Miraidon. Cali Shadow was not passing the vibe check. Um, you could die to rain boosted surging
yeah,
strikes. Speed ties, no matter how much you tried to avoid them, would still come up at some point. You can say that's a player difference thing,
yeah.
but
It
no
still
matter
happens.
what, it's not gonna come up.
Yeah, I brought CSR. It still happens. You can't ignore it. You can try, like you said, as much as you want, but it's still gonna happen.
Yeah, and so I was in call with Lyndon, and we took the pieces that I really liked from the old team, the Miraidon, Urshifu, Fire Pond. I was like, there has to be a new way to go about this because Tailwind Miraidon, it's not feeling it. It's
Yep.
it's it's not feeling good. Bulkier Miraidon, like people had started using towards the like I want to say like the third quarters
Yep.
point of Reg G,
Yep.
that started feeling really good.
Mm-hmm.
And people started having success with it, like Joe, and there was another Japanese team, I forget who
Yeah.
made it, but and so Grimmsnarl got added next because I thought, oh, this completely changes how this mon plays. It goes from a hyper offense mon or like a super bulky high damage mon to somewhere where you can get a bunch of stuff in between. And then I think this was when you joined call on that day. And you looked at the 4 that we had because Lyndon was sharing his screen, and you said, okay, so when are we adding the Ice Rider? Is it now or in 3 hours?
Yeah, pretty much.
And so we put the Ice Rider on next.
Yep.
And a little bit of discussion, but Ensign joined the team soon as well. Just because it was a good pivoting mod. And you really did save us like 3 hours.
I don't know. It was a suggestion. It worked out. I don't know.
No, I don't know. No, overall, I was very happy with the team because it felt like a completely different take on Miraidon Ice Rider, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a different take. It was not one of those Arubega style teams. And I know that those changed even so. I would still consider what like Paul and Alex and William brought as kind of like an Arubega style team.
Okay.
Even though it did have those changes, the Water Pond and the Volcarona.
Yep.
But this was something completely different. And the only person who had something relatively close to it was Joe, who was also, of course, using Grimmsnarl Miraidon.
Yeah.
And so I was super happy with it. I fell in love with it almost instantly. I think it was you who said, Nick, this has every single thing that you want in a team.
Yeah.
That I want me in a team.
You personally, yep.
Yeah. Triple pivot moves, super high damage output, spread, redirection. There's positive RNG variables. Also a couple of negative ones, but
we don't worry about those.
Yeah, we don't worry about those. They didn't really come up actually. I'll talk about that later. But no, the team felt great.
For sure.
So I guess I'll just go mon by mon. I mean, you were there for most of this, so feel free to interject.
No. Honestly, I mean, a lot of this kind of the spreads are pretty much all you at this point. Like I said, I don't think I touched this team as much as you're giving me credit for touching this team. So
I mean, you were there through the whole process.
I was there, but I don't think I did much. Anyways, hit us with some spreads. Let us know what's going on these things. We'll get to that Grimmsnarl in a minute because I'm sure that's a burning question for everybody here.
Yeah, so these are all the exact spreads I actually moved to the regional. Just for the record. I'm gonna start with Miraidon just because it was the start of the team. Yep. I knew I wanted to use Timid. I knew there was a lot of Modest, but I also knew that there was a lot of Timid max speed, and so I wanted to find somewhere where I could play informed as to what my opponent was doing.
Nice.
And the only way that you can really do that is by running Timid yourself, but you can't then run the Timid max speed.
Because you wouldn't know.
You could do Timid 244, but then that seems like a waste because there's really not that much in that gap. So we settled on Timid 140 because it outsped a paralyzed Sneasler. It outsped Palkia Origin, which came up because Zordor was using it on Showdown.
Hey, you never know. If you would have pulled one at the regional, it could have come in handy, right? Like, you would have known, hey, I'm faster than Palkia Origin.
Yeah. And the big thing was we found out after, it speed crept the most common Zacian spread.
Oh, perfect.
Which was Robbie's that he had then tweeted out. And so that was 189. I chose 190 and never looked back.
Yeah, perfect.
The special attack is the absolute minimum required to KO 4 HP, 4 SPDF Zamazenta.
Gotcha.
And anything up until slightly bulkier than Michael DeBrest's World Spread was still in our favor for Electro Drift to just one shot.
Awesome.
The HP and defense has a 6.3% chance for a neutral Zacian Play Rough or a +1 Zacian Play Rough through Reflect to not KO Miraidon.
Nice.
And the HP and Spadef lives a Terra Ghost, Life Orb, Shadow Rider, Astral Barrage without screen, and with screen it lives it with Helping Hand as well.
Nice. Beautiful.
In retrospect, the Miraidons I played 3 Scarf Miraidon. I played 2 Specs, and they were both Timid max speed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third one I played was AV. Or the last one I played was AV. And I don't regret doing what I did, but with the speed stat, it didn't end up being important, unfortunately. Even though it was very useful in practice.
Yeah. And I think that's something to point out, right? Like, it's an early format regional, right? So, like, you see something on paper, you're like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense going into the regional, and sometimes it doesn't happen in practicality. But once again, I said the same thing a lot in the team report I did myself. I was like, I made a ton of mistakes, right? And the things I would go back and do completely differently. But like, obviously, it worked out for you to a certain extent, and if you felt like it was right going into the regional, at some point it was right. So
yeah. I have no regrets when it comes to the choices I made on this team. Were there things that I wish could have been different based on what I ended up pulling? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Scary Face would have been great on the Grim Snarl into the field I pulled. Focus Energy wasn't actually useful in the tournament. But they were there for a reason, and I could have pulled those matchups, so I don't regret it, is what
I got
I'm
you.
trying to get at.
Totally. No. And I think if you like regret something going into a tournament, I think it's like a bad way to look at it almost, because obviously you brought it for a reason, right? I think it's okay to be like, yeah, that maybe wasn't the call, but I think afterwards just saying, man, the team was terrible. I didn't like the way I did this. I kind of regret. And you live with those regrets, it's gonna feel a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's definitely a good approach to be like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, or it didn't really work out for me, but you know what, I believed in it, and I thought it was something, and if I would have pulled something that it would have been good into, it would have been amazing, right? So
Yeah.
I get you.
All right, I'll go to Ogerpon next. Ogerpon, fire type redirection is really good into Zacian, which was one of the big Miraidon problems, especially for this combination where both of them are weak to Zacian stabs. I didn't pull any Zacian. I know Lyndon pulled like 4 Zacian in 6 rounds.
Ew.
And he was slower. His Miraidon was slower than the Zacian every single time.
Yeah, I think a lot of them started going jolly actually on the Zacians now too, right? So
yeah. But the Ogerpon was there to help with that initially, and it started coming to a bunch of things. The Ogerpon became one of my favorite Pokemon on the team. I think it became my second favorite Pokemon on the team, and I'll get into the first one later. But overall, fire type redirection really good. Ivy Cudgel's broken. The EV spread. Sorry. The EV spread does a couple of specific things. Well, 4 speed is just the leftover.
Yep.
I actually ended up speed tying with Paul's Ogerpon on stream.
That's funny.
And he didn't know it was speed tie, but I did because I won it.
Yeah.
And I found that very funny.
Yeah,
so we just both choked each other for 40%.
Yeah, both of you were expecting to move second, and then you moved first. It was like, oh, okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, right? Like, ooh. But the attack always KOs the 28 HP, 52 defense Ogerpon Rock with a critical hit. Those are the ones that are EV to survive like Jolly Terra Water Surging Strikes.
Okay.
From Urshifu. So that comboed well with Focus Energy. If we didn't have Focus Energy, we probably wouldn't have ran as much attack as we did.
Makes sense.
Probably would have gone down to like 92 or something, because that's what you need to Oko and DD, I believe.
Yeah, that is the Indeedee number. I can confirm.
It also always KOs most of the bold. It KOs the standard bold Terapagos after lefties with a critical hit Ivy Cudgel. And if you Terra and you're not intimidated, it just one-shots.
Nice.
So yeah, that helped into the Terapagos matchup. I did pull 2 Terapagos, and it didn't come to either of those sets, unfortunately. um, but there's reasons for that, but they're
Yep.
not important. Um, +1 max attack. Clear Amulet Ice Rider has a 6.3% chance to OHKO,
Okay.
which I thought was pretty good
Yeah.
because I wanted to go mixed bulk, and so I thought, okay, I can Gimp on this one, I can Gimp on another calc, and I'll be fine overall. It also always lives a 196 Modest Miraidon's Draco Meteor with light screen up.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, which was a big thing. It did come, that specific calc did come up in the tournament.
Nice. Yeah.
Which I was very happy about.
Absolutely.
And if it's like a Scarf Miraidon, I also then live their Draco Meteor without the light screen anyway.
Yeah.
Because those are like almost offsetting boosts. They're slightly different, but almost offsetting
Yeah.
damage modifiers. And then 4 speed. 3 moves are standard. Focus energy got added because it was a way to help me break through like the Marco CSR Terapagos team
Yep.
that I think is super fake. But one of them ended up making top 8, I guess. So, there's something to
Yeah,
it.
I think it's the same as like those Terapagos teams that were doing well in Reg G. It's like personally, like you said, I don't believe in that Pokemon, but I think it is a very good Pokemon. At If you are the better player in that matchup, it tends to be the Pokemon that is going to allow you to outplay your opponents. If you are the better player, generally speaking, with the Terapagos on your side, it tends to be a little bit more in your favor there. It seems a little
Yeah.
nicer in that way. So it does do that for a lot of things. So I'll give it where credit's due, but I definitely think it takes a really good player to take it to that level.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Overall, the Ogerpon was useful. I clicked Focus Energy a couple of times. I tried to use it to win against Andrew Ding in Top Cut, and it didn't
Yeah.
work. Um, Overall, Focus Energy could have been a different move. Encore would have been useful once or twice. Helping Hand was
Hmm.
something I considered a lot
That would be cute.
and didn't end up doing that. Would have been very nice because I could have had some really cool pins.
Ogerpon, Miraidon,
Um,
clap, 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 drop a Draco.
or Glacial Lance.
Yeah,
Helping
that too,
Hand.
actually. Yeah.
Glacial Lance. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving on. I guess we'll go with Urshifu here. I mean, is that just like your standard Scarf Ursh? Move on. Nothing to talk about here.
Yeah, it's just an Urshifu.
All
I
right.
mean, there's literally nothing to discuss. It's burst damage. It had its moment to shine in one of my Swiss rounds, but otherwise, it was probably the worst Pokemon on the team.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people say that actually that their Urshifus just didn't feel like they were really being Urshifu, which is kind of weird
Yeah.
because like bro was broken and now it's like, is it just a normal mod now? Like, is it just a
I think it's just a normal mod now.
maybe it's
Like
time?
objectively, what it does is broken, but
Yeah. No, I agree. I just think the format's so high powered that like
like this specific set, especially, um, the Cali Shadows all live your Surging Strikes,
yeah,
even if you pair water. They all live it.
yeah,
Um,
they're all ready for it.
Everything is EV'd for Surging Strikes in close combat,
Yeah.
and you can't adjust the spread at all. You have to run this
Mm-hmm.
almost exactly this Urshifu if you want to run Choice Scarf
Yep.
because mandatory max speed.
Yep.
And then if you drop any amount of attack, you lose the few damage calcs that you do still have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's
Urshifu was useful. If you can find a better mon in the slot, I encourage you to try it out. I would. I couldn't find anything better.
yeah, makes sense. Should we go
Uh,
Ensign or keep him wait? Go
Grim
right to the Grim or
Snarl.
keep him waiting?
It's Grim Snarl time,
All right.
baby.
All right.
Fourth the team, fourth mon getting talked about.
Fair enough.
Um, Grim Snarl was just so dynamic. I loved it. Foul play, great move. We considered Spirit Break, but foul play just gave us so much better pins into the Ice Rider mirror, into Lunala. It would force CSRs to Terra.
Yep.
Um, I didn't want a Spirit Break. I kept thinking about it, and every time I'm like, but foul play is so good.
Yeah.
I completely get Spirit Break, but
That's fair.
not on this. Not on this.
Not on this. All right, I respect it.
Um, Screens were good. I used them all pretty much equally. Just generally
Yeah.
really good mod. Drastically changes a bunch of calcs, which was fun. Thunderwave could have been scary face. I clicked Thunderwave 5 times throughout the entire tournament. I didn't get a single full paralysis the whole tournament, which is kind of funny. But
It is.
I clicked T-Wave a lot more in practice, like a lot more, like an obscene amount.
No, that's
um,
fair though. Like, and I think that's just something to be like, oh hey, it's during a tournament play. It's like things aren't always going to come up as much as you think, right? Could be the matchups you got. Could just be the fact that maybe you were seeing lines during the tournament day where you didn't need to get the speed control, right? And like getting a screen up ended up being better too, right? So
yeah. Well, especially I faced 3 Scarf Miraidon.
and you can't paralyze those guys, that's for sure.
Like, I don't know. And I played 3 teams with Psychic Terrain, which made it harder to click. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows? But
T-Wave was not
what's going
was
on with
not
this spread here? Because I
okay.
obviously know.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I think
So,
it's
I mean,
funny.
it's very funny. I love it so much. All of these spreads come courtesy of DeWobblefett. I had the skeletons of them, and then he sat down with me on, I want to say it was Wednesday night before the tournament, and we just optimized every
Yep.
single spread. Um, and so this one was funny because we were doing the standard had 4 EVs that don't do anything because foul play is your offensive move,
Yeah.
and you want to invest into your bulk and your speed stat.
Yep.
So the speed stat was specifically so it would be 1 slower than my Ice Rider, so I could set up things like Glacial Lance into foul play, KOing Lunala, or I could break Focus Sashes with Trick Room up with Grimmsnarl and then get a Lance boost after KOing them, or
Mm-hmm.
Nay boost after KOing them with Lance. Um, and so the bulk does some really cool things. Let me pull it up. It lives a Jolly Ogerpon critical hit Ivy Cudgel. Most of the time it has a 6.3% chance to KO. Terrawater Surging Strikes from Urshifu had a 0.24% chance to KO.
Yep. Just to cut you off there
Um,
real quick. We're back to everything. Everything is calced for the surging strikes.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Even
Yep.
I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be silly not to.
Right. Exactly. I get you.
Um, it lives a modest max specs Miraidon Electro Drift with light screen up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just has as much HP as possible while still being able to get those calcs. And then because you're investing into 4 stats and you don't have an offensive move, you have 4 EVs remaining. But you actually have 6 EVs
Yeah.
remaining.
Because the max in the game is 510, but anything that matters is 508. So when you have 4 left, you actually have 6 left. And I know where this is going.
And so when you have 6 EVs that don't do anything, you could just throw 6 EVs into special attack or physical attack because they won't do anything.
Or just not do that, or not use them.
Or just not use them, yeah. Or you can get the strangest look you have ever seen from every single judge who has seen your paste because they hack checked you round 4. And I want to say I got a stern look and said, "I don't believe that you spent the time to do this." And then handed me my switchback.
Yep. But when you commit to the bit, it's very easy to spend the time to do something when you commit to the bit. I fully believe in it.
So yeah, 1 EV in each stat. Yeah, this is the legitimate spread that I brought to the
Yeah,
regional
that's
because
crazy.
I thought it would be super funny.
It is funny.
And I show Rose the spread after at dinner, and she looks over at me and says, "No, you didn't. No, this makes no sense. You are too lazy to do this." I'm just like, It was too funny not to.
It was too funny not to. I agree. I think it's a pretty funny way. It's something where you're allowed to have a little bit of fun with terms of spreads because like everything on this team, especially the way you've been talking, right? Everything seems like so meticulous and down to the point. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, it's just like, yeah, throw these 6 EVs, one in every stat. I think it's super funny. A little bit of lighthearted fun where you can afford to have it. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. Should we move on? What do you want to do? Calyrex-I or Instant?
Let's do Instant because Instant Grim was a combo that I did a lot. It's slightly out of order, but still. Instant got added just for general pivoting. It was AV to help with the CSR matchup originally. It also helped a ton against Lunala. But I was struggling into getting put in the blender by fake out spam.
Yeah.
And this idea came from Appo Pokemon on Showdown, who's an older friend of mine. And they said, well, if you put Covert Cloak on the Ensign, they can't fake out pivot you. Knockoff forces the CSR to Terra, and you can always Wisp a Zamazenta.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh. You know, it doesn't do the whole job on its own, but it's a piece that definitely helps into the CSR Zama matchup, which was the only thing I was consistently losing to in practice.
Mm-hmm.
I had like an insane win rate for a while there with this team. I went on like a 24 set win streak at one point, beating multiple CSR Zamas. But the only thing that was ending my win streaks was CSR Zama. And then I only pulled one CSR Zama in the entire tournament.
That's fair. It's gonna happen though, right? Bulks for Urshifu, right? If I'm correct on that, that's the Surging Strikes Urshifu calc again.
Yep, that is the best. Yeah, it's the best chance that you can have to live in Adamant Surging Strikes from Urshifu without having like a Citrus Berry or something. It's like a 14% chance to KO, but you take it at that point.
Yep.
Especially because if people don't just run max attack or they run Jolly because they're getting greedy,
then you're living. And you take that.
You're there. The Spit F is a dump. The Speed IV outspeeds Brute Bonnet by 2. 4-speed Brute Bonnet by 2. It also outruns Paralyzed base 90s, so Kyogre, Annihilate. And because we were Covert Cloak, we always wanted to be slower. Now, we weren't always slower because we weren't running as slow as possible, but we got to see Intimidates go off, and then I was the slower Ensign the entire tournament, except for the one where I speed tied with Andrew Ding in Top Cut.
No.
And I lost game 2. Like, it was a very hard game, even if I was going to pull it back. But, sorry, game 1.
Yeah.
But then I see Intimidates go off on leads, and his goes first. I'm like, okay, so I'm slower. Good. Yep. And then my parting shot went off before his.
Oh.
So he got a free switch into Ursa Luna as he trick roomed.
Oh.
And I had nothing that I could do about it.
Oh well, we tried. GG go next, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. GG go next. That's exactly what happened. Ursa Luna came in and it OHKO'd all 4 of my Pokemon.
Yeah. It do be that.
Yeah, Terra Fairy was something that I liked. It came up a couple of times. Charlie ended up running Terra Bug, and he liked Terra Bug, and Terra Bug was good for him in his run. I liked Fairy because it still resists Body Press, and it's not weak to one of the CSR stabs. But obviously it's not Bug, where you're neutral to Steel afterwards. Fairy, you're accepting a Steel weakness from a mediocre Steel move, in my opinion.
Okay.
And you're gaining a much better general defensive Terra type than Bug. This came up in my round 10 Winnanen for Top Cut, where if I was Terra Bug, I could not have Terra'd my Incineroar safely out of a Life Orb Koraidon hit.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. and I was gonna bring that up, but
Yeah.
I like the fact that now you know what you can actually live a fire move potentially if you need to now, as instead of just giving up that calc and getting pinned by those
Exactly.
Koraidons in or out of Terra. I think that's definitely something to talk about. I like bug for ground types, but
Yeah.
you obviously have this Calyrex, which we should be talking about in a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have that Calyrex, you have that ice type, right? Right? You have the big ice type restricted. So, do you really
Mhm.
care about those ground types? And obviously, maybe you should, but you've got a way to hit them if you just tend to position a little bit better, right? So, let's talk about this Calyrex now. Let's keep things moving here.
All right. Uh, I have a hot take, and that is that Clear Amulet is a bad item on Calyrex Ice. And
Okay.
I know I'm sounding like my inner Jamie Boyd, but I feel like Clear Amulet is very good on Pokemon that are exactly good as is. And when you only have one of them, I think that is much more important because Cali Ice is good exactly as it is. But when you have two restricteds, why not make both of them as good as possible?
Okay.
And so I reverted to my 2022 skills of positioning a Calyrex Ice around Intimidate that before like
We,
the
you,
whole white herb
yeah,
thing became popular.
which you had to do back in the day, anyways, right? Clear Amulet just wasn't an item.
Exactly. It just wasn't there. So you had to develop these skills. Even if you were the white herb ones, you had to develop the skill of positioning your Cali Ice, positioning your Lando T around Intimidate.
Yep.
Um, and so I kind of leaned back on those skills and I was like, if I play this slightly differently than other people are playing their Cali Ice, I get these huge upsides.
Absolutely.
I get to be stronger, faster, and bulkier on average than every single other ice rider in the field, all by choosing to run a different item.
Yep. You just have to cycle around Intimidate a little bit better, pretty much.
Yeah, you just have to play a bit smarter.
Yeah.
And at that point, you're I'm already backing on myself to play well, to do well at a regional.
Yeah.
So why not continue to back myself?
Yeah. No,
Have
I
some
like
faith.
that. I like that. Any specific calcs, real quick? I mean, it looks pretty standard to me outside of maybe like the speed stat, but obviously you've got Thunderwave and stuff. So
Yeah. So uh HP is maxed out because you invest the most into the lowest defensive stat. Attack hits the bump and puts Glacial Lance. I want to say on average it's like 2% stronger than a Clear Amulet
okay.
max attack
Yep.
Glacial Lance, which gimps a ton of calcs. We saw in my
Yep.
round 8 match that I 2-hit KO'd Paul's Iron Hands with Glacial Lance.
Yeah.
Um, 4 defense dump. The HP in Spadef lives a max timid CSR spell tag Astral Barrage.
Yep.
And the speed stat outruns Pokemon 169 or slower, so that is at the point of a Terra Lando I, but also anything slower than that, so Urshifu or a Chi-Yu that is also Terrid. And it's also, once again, one faster than my Grimmsnarl.
Yep.
Um, Terra Water's just a generally good defensive type. It helps in Azation, helps in
Yep.
a Kyogre.
Koraidon.
There was another Terra that I wanted. Oh, Koraidon, yes, that's a big one. There wasn't another Terra I wanted. Water
Yep.
was good. I played enough Kyogres where I felt water was justified. I played enough Sun where I felt water was justified. It was good.
Yeah. No, sounds
Um,
good.
I hate high horsepower. I absolutely hate high horsepower.
Yeah. Bad move confirmed.
I clicked it once on day 1 and it missed. I clicked it a bit more on day 2, and I was in my round 10 winning in, and I clicked high horsepower for the second time of the tournament to try and win game 2 on turn 1. My opponent, he's already packing his stuff. He says he's going to forfeit the next turn. Meanwhile, I'm sitting there staring at my Switch about to have a heart attack if this high horsepower misses, and I'm 0 for 2 on high horsepower.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate it. I wish there was a better move. There's not.
Yeah.
Close combat is not as good as I once thought it was, and Stomping Tantrum is too weak. It's too much of a power difference.
Yep.
Um, they should give it Headlong Rush next generation.
Let's not do that. But I think that let's not do that, please. No. Anyways, let's talk a quick look about your tournament run here. We are kind of cut for time, so let's.
Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I think I'd much rather spend time talking about the team itself, right? Because like that's where really like all the, in my opinion, more of the valuable information is like the breakdown of that team. Because a tournament run could change day by day, right? You don't pull this exact tournament run, who knows what happens, right? But obviously, still want to talk about it. So I'll flash the matchups on the screen, not the matchups, but I'll flash the tournament run on the screen for you guys. But yeah, no, feel free to follow along, and I'm going to pull it up myself so I can see it. And realistically, just looking for highlight matchups here, anything where it was like, yeah, this something specific. But floor is yours.
I'm gonna say I had the most fraudulent day 1 that was possible.
Okay.
Day 2, I felt a lot better, and even though I went 2-2, I felt better about my day 2. I had the most fraudulent 7-0 start I could ever imagine. This team was so good, and it was such a good team that it was compensating for me being such a bad player for my first 3 rounds.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Team good. I
You'll
guess.
remember I was annoyed with myself
Oh, I'm
walking around the
aware.
convention. I was the angriest 3-0 that you have ever seen. Um,
Yep.
I was getting hard carried by the team being good and me being slightly better than my opponents.
Yeah.
But I was 3-0 nonetheless. I pulled a Terrapagos Lunala team, and I kind of pranked them turn 1 both games to instantly win. I got to pull the funny T-Wave in a knockoff
Yep.
on Lunala as it meteor beams.
Love that.
And then game 2, I knocked off the Ursaluna turn 1 as it clicked substitute. So it was just a -1 Ursaluna behind sub.
Oh no.
And I had reflect up as well.
Yeah. For sure.
I got the Lorenzo win, although I don't think you want to spend time talking about that now.
No.
This is probably not the place for it.
Yeah, agreed.
So I'm 5-0 or 6-0 now.
Yep.
And I pulled my first CSR and my only CSR of the tournament.
Wow.
At 6-0. I felt really bad. My opponent went from 6-0 to 6-5. Yeah.
Oh no. That's gotta sting. You know, and I've been playing this game long enough. I've gone from like 4-0 to 4-3 before, but the 6-0 to 6-5, man, that's one of those rough ones. And the thing is, it has to happen. Not that it has to happen to somebody, but it's likely in every tournament somebody is going to pull that run, and it's just really sad to think about. That one stings.
Yeah. Super nice guy. He had a unique take on CSR Zama that I could see why got him to 6-0.
Yeah.
It wasn't that hard for me because it was my most problematic matchup. And so I spent so much time playing it.
Yep.
And my opponent didn't spend nearly as much time playing my matchup as I spent playing his matchup.
Yep.
And so I just kind of knew what to do better than he did. If we replay the set, maybe it goes to a game 3, but otherwise I just kind of, it happens.
Yep, it happens indeed.
So I'm 7-0 now, and I get pulled on stream. I'm so excited. I'm playing my friend Paul, and we haven't played in years at this point. I'm up against him lifetime, but like it's Paul, you know?
Yeah, still Paul Tua.
Paul Tua. So it's always a set no matter what.
Yep.
I get unlucky game 1. He crits my Ogre Pawn turn 1 or turn 2, removes it, gets a free Glacial Lance boost, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'll try. And then I force it to a 50-50, and I get the 50-50 wrong. It is what it is. Game 2, I choke and don't click Reflect in the end game, where if I had clicked Reflect, I could have locked into Draco Meteor, and then I wouldn't have needed to get a Dull Protect on my Calyrex, but because I didn't set Reflect, I had to lock in a Dazzling Gleam to KO Iron Hands. and I had to land a double protect, which is entirely on me, and I got bailed.
Yeah.
And then game 3, turn 1, crits, knocks out my Ogerpon. I bring in my Grimmsnarl, or sorry, I bring in my Miraidon. I make a good play. I get Grimmsnarl in next to Ice Rider, and I know Paul is clicking Volt Switch. He is not clicking Electro Drift. So, call it greedy, but I know both my pieces are faster than his +1 Cali Ice. I know Glacial Lance into Foul Play will KO his Terra Watered +1 Cali Ice, so I go for it. And Grimmsnarl dies to a Volt Switch crit.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm 7-1, I guess.
Yeah. Mons.
It had to end at some point.
Yep.
I've never won on stream at a regional or higher. I think I've been on like 12 times over the years, and I've never won.
That's wild.
The elusive winner interview. I will get to it one day.
Yes. Yes, you will.
Yes, you will. But yeah, so 7-1 to end day 1. I'm over the moon. I'm so excited. I haven't been 7-1 since Memphis 2017. And I had never I always have said to myself, I'm not an X1 player. I'm an X2 player. I take that second loss. And then I became a 7-1 player.
Yep.
And that was probably the thing that had me the most excited. And let alone a 7-1, I was at 9-1 at one point.
Yeah, you were at 9-1 at one point.
Yeah, I had so much fun day 1. Honestly, it really rebounded from the earlier rounds, and it's because I got kind of an easy round 4, where the mental just
sometimes
switched.
you need that one matchup sometimes, and all of a sudden it's oh, I'm locked in now, and then it's scary. Like I remember playing James Evans at the 3-2 tables in Vancouver, not like this season, but past season, and I was like, well, this is a scary matchup to pull at 3-2, and I remember sitting down at the table, and you could tell both of us weren't like in the best mood, but at one point during the set, I don't remember exactly when, I think he had gotten a call right, and all of a sudden you could just see it in his eyes that he had just locked back in, and like he was back to his normal self. I ended up losing that set, and for those of you that don't know, James won the regional, right? So sometimes all you need is that like one small thing, and all of a sudden, wow, I'm feeling myself again, I'm ready to go, right? All you need is that one little moment sometimes, and you obviously found it, locked yourself back in, and it worked out well.
So yeah, day 1 was great. I had so much fun. Day 2, I pull Javier round 1, and I sit down and I see the matchup. Well, I saw the matchup ahead of time because teams were posted, but I look at it, and it's my 3rd Scarf Miraidon of the tournament now. And I look at it, and I'm like, oh, I get a run back of round 8 in round 9.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did exactly what I did against Paul. No changes whatsoever game 1. And respectfully, I steamrolled him.
Yep.
Because that is exactly what my game plan is meant to do.
Yep.
If I don't get crit turn 1 multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so far ahead in game 1. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to blitz him game 2. I'm going to do the same thing, but I am going to click Ivy Cudgel. I'm going to click Glacial Lance turn 1. And I do like 80% to his Cali Ice on turn 1. Glacial Lance picks up the KO. Suddenly, my Ogerpon is at like 60% because it ate a Volt Switch. I have a +1 full health Cali Ice on the field.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay,
yeah,
here we go.
Yep. Sometimes you just get those turns right, and things go, So
yeah.
Now you're at your winning end, right? So how you feeling at your winning end? What's going on here?
I haven't been on a regional winning in 8.5 years.
That stat is absolutely wild. Bro, there's people out there that haven't even been playing for half as long as that. And you're just on this crazy, I guess we'll call it a drought for lack of a better word. Groudon
Right?
mentioned, but.
Oh,
Huh?
no, yeah. So I'm there and I'm giddy. You know,
Yep.
I I won my round one so fast that I didn't even get like the chance to go talk to any of my friends because everybody else was playing. You were still playing your match. Jeremy was playing their match. Stefan was off in the cup playing
Yeah.
his match. And I'm just like, okay. So I'm sitting there jumping around waiting for someone to get done. And I think it was Jeremy who got done first. So I don't know. I got so excited. Um, I knew I was one away and I had two shots at it.
Yep. Absolutely.
I pulled Josh Jacobs and he's an awesome dude. Great player. Really fun set we had. I won 2-0, but I if we replay that set, I don't think
Yeah.
I think I happened to win two games
Yeah.
instead of I beat him
Yeah.
two games in a row. I think it's
Yep.
like
Close two
we
game set sort of thing.
yeah, exactly. Well, almost. Game one was super close. Game two, not so much. um, we DC'd three times
Ugh.
before we got past turn three. And I would have offered to recreate game one, except my Ogerpon crit hit O-code his Brute Bonnet, which was actually bad for me because I didn't get a chilling knee boost off
Yeah,
of it.
but trying to recreate exactly that is brutal, right? So at that point, you go tournament
Exactly.
rules and just fresh game, right? I assume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he understood, yeah. So
Yeah.
we played three fresh games and DC'd every time.
Oh my.
And then they finally move us after the third DC. So meanwhile, people are done with their sets and we haven't even started playing game one
Yeah.
yet. Um, game one, really close game. I feel like I'm in the driver's seat for most of it. He makes some really good calls back to back. He gets some damage rules that were really good for him, but he's playing phenomenally. And it comes down to I have an Incineroar with Fake Out. His Koraidon is in range of Fake Out. It will also die to a Life Orb tick if it gets off one more hit. Or it could Protect and I can Fake Out the partner. So it's just which one am I doing? Am I
Mm-hmm.
faking out the one that's about to die anyway to stop it from claiming a KO, or am I faking out reading the Protect? I faked out the Koraidon. He doesn't Protect. I win the game.
Perfect.
Um, and I want to be specific with game two, or I guess game five, but he leads Flutter Koraidon with Ice Rider and Chiyu in back. I lead Ogerpon and Ice Rider with Miraidon Instant in back. I don't show my backs this game. Um, I don't protect on Flutter Koraidon because I want to see if I can bait out a Terra Fire. And Fluttermane switches to Ice Rider, and he Terra Fire Flare Blitzes my Ogerpon. I go for the Terra Water high horsepower onto his Koraidon, and I Ivy Cudgel the Calyrex Ice, which is an insane play. But I was up game one,
Yeah. Why
and
not?
I wanted this set over. So I send it. And he close combats into my Cali Ice, not my Ogerpon. Ivy Cudgel OHKOs the Cali Ice, and he starts packing up his bag. He's saying, good game, I'm going to forfeit next turn, this game's over. And I'm sitting there, dead-eyed, bugging out, because this is the second high horsepower I have clicked
Yep.
all tournament, and if it misses, I will scream. Because I don't even want the move there, but it keeps missing anyway.
Yep.
I land the high horsepower.
Yep.
Thank God. Um, and with that, he forfeits turn three, and I have made top cut of my first regional in 8.5 years.
Wild.
It still doesn't feel real. I know this happens all the time for a lot of players. Players will make top cut constantly. A lot of new players have cut since I last cut an event. And so maybe it doesn't feel as special. But there was nothing like that moment.
No, I no. There's something about making Top Cut that I don't think is ever not special, right? And it's always different as well, right? Like I have infinite stories. I mean, infinite's the wrong word. Makes me sound a lot better than I am. But every time I've made Top Cut, there's always I feel like there's a story to it, or something about it that just kind of makes it feel different from the last time I Top Cut, right? And it's one of the reasons I keep chasing this game. I keep playing this game, right? Because everything is always different. No matter how much you compare this game to a chess match or anything like that. I always feel like something about it is special at each and every time, and I think you're right. I fully agree with that.
So yeah, it meant a lot to me. Um, I called my grandma and she got so excited. Oh, that's what she does when she gets so excited.
Nice. That's awesome though. But
I still have one round left. I play Riley at 9-1 for the bye. And I've played Riley a bunch of times over the years. I think he's up against me, but it is a set that we have traded wins in. So I know I'm very capable of winning against him. We sit down and we look at the preview, and I kind of look up at him, and he looks me in the eyes, and I think we understood in that moment. We're doing the same thing turn one all 3 games.
Yep.
And it's whoever gets it right more is winning. And that's what we did. I led Grimsnarl Miraidon turn one all three games. He led Ensign Miraidon all 3 games. We found out his Miraidon was faster than mine. And it just became, do I Terra Fairy and does he read it? Or does he lock into Draco? And turn 1, I don't Terra. He KOs my Miraidon. I play out another maybe 8 turns, but I'm clearly losing the game. But I'm playing it out just to play it out, see what happens. Maybe he chokes. Game 2, I Terra Fairy. He clicks Dragon Pulse. I have 2 fairies on the field.
Yep.
And I just kind of blow him up.
Yep.
And game 3, he actually makes an adjustment here. He brings Urshifu. So I guess he already kind of knew what he was doing in preview. Where I Terra Fairy'd my Miraidon again. This time he clicked Electro Drift. I lived on 12 HP, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. If I can position this correctly, if I can position Ogerpon plus Miraidon, he has no spread damage. I can do this still.
Mm-hmm.
And then he left Whimsicott behind, and Urshifu hit the field, and now suddenly he has Aqua Jet, and I'm at 12 HP.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so this is over.
Yeah.
So I ate an L, but it was a competitive set.
Mm-hmm.
As competitive as turn 1 50-50s can be. Riley's a great player, and he saw it better than I did. Mm-hmm. He understood, and he knew what he was doing going in, and that made him better because he made that purposeful adjustment to bringing Urshifu, which I think was the only time someone brought Urshifu against me the entire tournament.
That's crazy.
I didn't fight a single Urshifu until Riley in game 3. Yeah.
All right. Sure.
And then there's no way to it. I got bopped by Ding in Top Cut. Andrew was actually the person who eliminated me from my last chance at making Top Cut back at Atlantic City 2019. We had both started 5-0. We were 5-1 on the winning end. And so I pull him in my first round of cut, and I'm like, oh, well.
Yep.
And I talked with Justin about this, and he says I misunderstood what was happening. But I go to check the standings post-Swiss just to see who I'm fighting, why not? I know I made cut, and I'll get it on RK9, but I want to look at it.
Why not?
And so I'm walking by, and I still haven't seen my standing yet, but Shili Yang comes running at Andrew Ding and starts screaming, I have his team, I have his team, I have his team. And I'm like, Okay, well, sucks for them, I guess. Sucks for me, I guess. Oh, so I sit down and I'm like, okay, he has my paste. Let's see how this works then.
Yep.
And I talked with him about it. He's like, no, no, that's not what happened. Something else. You misunderstood. And I'm like, okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just how it was from my
Yeah, yeah,
perspective
for
in
sure.
that moment.
I get
And
you.
it was very funny. Um, yeah, he blew me up. He said it was easy, and it was. Like, I did not give him much of a fight. Um, I was just so happy to be there. I didn't really care anymore. Like, yeah, it would have been nice to get some prize money, but
Yeah,
that
top
that
top
top
32.
cut meant more to that top cut meant more to me than prize money at that point, honestly. So
That
I
was
was content.
absolutely,
Hungry but
yeah,
content.
super solid run though. Like, I don't know. I remember like just I watched like you slowly prep for this tournament day in day out, right? So like I know how hard you worked for this, and like honestly seeing it kind of all like all those pieces, finally come together was really cool to see. So huge congrats to you. I am gonna wrap this up as we almost are at the hour mark here. We won't get into too many matchups. I think a lot of them were kind of talked about. We kind of know what the pieces do at this point, anyways, as well. So. But with that though, just before I do, completely cut you off here, any final shout outs, any final thoughts as we just wrap this up?
The three biggest shout outs go to you, Lyndon, and Trey. You guys had the most help on the team. And I couldn't have done it without you three. Um, all Smoliv,
Yep.
love you all. Um, Left Face, The Crow, Yuta, Chuppa, Oriqueza, um, all you guys for helping me prep in your own ways, different stuff. I went to different people for different things. Charlie, Justin, and Lyndon as well for also running the team with me last second. They all picked it up like within the last week. Chris picked it up the day before. um, and I want to say thank you for the TOs for hosting a pretty good event in what I thought was a pretty bad venue.
Yep.
Um, no, I'm very happy and thank you once again for letting me come on the channel.
Happy to have you on the channel. And honestly, like, first of all, not only like, once I saw you do well, I was like, hey, I gotta ask him for the channel. I mean, you kind of asked me yourself before I even got a chance to ask you. But no, totally open to it. Super happy that you could actually come on, that you wanted to come onto the channel as well, right? But I'm hopefully trying to get a couple more of these team reports out from Milwaukee. I think early format, it's really, really good to get just some insight from a bunch of different players. And I think a lot of this is a lot different from how I like to format reports. Like I like to, kind of just the gist of things. But I think the meticulousness of your spreads in this is something I really want to point out. And like you're able to get this in depth with the team, and I think that's something that kind of gets overstepped. I know there's a lot of debate, or at least back in the day, there was a lot of debate where it was like, oh, you can just go 252 on everything and like be fine, right? And then everybody else was like, oh no, you can't do that. And like we've gotten to whole debates on that before. I'm not going to get into it here, but seeing the level of depth that you can put into spreads just to fine tune everything. And then even kind of the retroactive going, yeah, I spent a lot of time on this spread, but I didn't need like on the Miraidon, right? It's like it didn't come up. I didn't need this. I could have done it something else. Right? So it's definitely cool to see that from a different perspective as well. So thank you for coming on the channel, sharing your thoughts on the format, on your team. And once again, congratulations on your top 32 placement. But with that, I think it is going to do it for the video. If you guys do enjoy this type of content, please feel free to please feel free to leave a like and subscribe. It really does help with the channel, and of course, I really do appreciate it. But with that, Nick, thank you all once again for so much for coming on, and thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you all in a future video.